Hi, I'm Bob Schmidt with Home Remodel Workshop. There are a few things you need to know about anchoring drywall to wall studs or ceiling rafters. I'll let you know what you need to know. Let's get to work. The drywall nails and screws that you're going to want to use for your project, this is a typical drywall nail. It's designed specifically for drywall. It's about 1.25 inches long, and it has a ribbed surface on the shank which grips into the wood. Typical length drywall screw is 1.25 inches. This is a coarse thread. They do make this in fine thread. As far as I'm concerned, I've seen no difference as to how they hold, which one's better than the other. So I would go with the 1.25 drywall screw and the drywall nail that's specifically made for your project. Now, when hanging drywall, first you take your drywall nails and you'll nail the perimeter at every stud space, on the ends, around the whole perimeter. So everything will get a nail that's on a perimeter. Now, once you get your perimeter nailed, so we have a nail at your stud here and we have a nail at your stud up here. I drew a little pencil line on here so you can see where the wall stud is. A typical layout for a wall would be 2 screws. You'd put one about there, you'd put one about there. Technically speaking, they're about 16 inches on center, and that would be a typical layout for screws in a wall. Now, I'm not going to hold this up on the ceiling to show you a typical screw pattern for a ceiling. That would be a little difficult. But once you get your nails in your ceiling rafters, assuming that this was flat up, the typical screwing pattern for a ceiling board would be 3 screws. Would be one there, one about center, and one about there. When putting in a drywall screw, I know that they make drywall screw guns with clutch tips and everything so that you don't set the screw too deep. Most people don't have those, and I'm not going to go out and buy one, even if I'm just hanging a single room, because I don't do it enough to justify it. But if I use my screw gun with my screw tip, and I run the screw in to the drywall stud, what I want to do, I want to run that drywall screw in until it's just below the surface. It'll pucker the paper in just a little bit. You don't want to go any farther than that, because if you do, this paper is what has 90% of the holding strength. If I continue to screw this and it blew through the drywall like that, it's barely holding anything. So you really have to clutch it down and really take a look at it while you're doing it. Here, I'll put another one in that's good, because if you do blow one through like that, you'll have to put a second one in. Again, cheat it down toward the end till it just sucks below the surface. That's right the way you want it. A good check for that is to slide a hammer over it. If it's nice and quiet, that means the drywall mud will go right over that, and it'll cover that screw up just fine. Now, even on the perimeters of the board where you put the drywall nail, the same thing's going to hold true. When you put the nail in, you want to take the nail, drive it down until it just dimples the surface, just a little bit. You really want to use a hammer that has a smooth head on it. Again, they make drywall hammers that are specifically designed for this. But for just a small amount of drywall, say 1 room or something, I'm not going to go out and buy a hammer that I'll only use very, very infrequently. Again, if you slide your hammer over the top of it and there's no tick, you know you got it down far enough. But let's say again, if you do drive it in, you don't want to break the paper with your hammer, and you don't want to drive that in too deep. So be real cautious when you're doing that, and you'll help eliminate all the finishing you have to do and all the re-nailing, because any nail or screw that goes through that surface, you have to replace with a good one. So there you go. The main goal is to keep the drywall where you want it. Follow these simple tips and advice, and you shouldn't have any problems. Thanks. Oh, if you want to see some other videos on wall framing or anything else, we have that at our home channel. Feel free to go check it out. If you like these tips and advice, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks.